Maps.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Wheeler.
Thank you, Rebecca. And now we will hear from legal counsel on the rules of order and decorum.
Thank you, Commissioner. Welcome to Portland City Council. To testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance on the council agenda at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. Information on engaging with council can be found on the council clerk's webpage. Individuals may testify for 3 minutes unless the presiding officer states otherwise. Your microphone will be muted when your time is over. The presiding officer preserves order. Disruptive conduct such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If you cause a disruption, a warning will be given. Further disruption will result in ejection from the meeting. Anyone who fails to leave once ejected is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Your testimony today should address the matter being considered. When testifying, state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. If you are a lobbyist, identify the organization you represent. Virtual identifiers should unmute themselves when the council clerk calls their name. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to communications. The first item is item 827. Rebecca, let's hear from the first individual, please.
Request of Robert Butler to address council regarding filtration.
Is he online or in person?
He is not
Okay.
here, looks like.
We'll move on to 828 and circle back to Robert if he attends.
Request of Anna Bojocores to address council regarding public drug use and safety concerns. Anna,
Okay, we'll circle back. Next individual, please, item 829.
request of James Atkinson IV to address council regarding fentanyl bombing.
Welcome, Mr. Atkinson. When you're ready, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you, City Council, for having me. I appreciate your time. I wanted to briefly discuss the events of that night. And when you see the explanation, it was very short. I can understand the wording is confusing. What happened that night is I was taking care of a woman on Pine Street, a woman that I met, and I apologize. I'm just trying to make sure I understand everything that happened that night because it was a couple of months ago. But essentially, I would be outside the premises talking with people and such. And that particular night, I had come home and there was a lot of screaming, and there wasn't necessarily anything out of the ordinary for that as far as what occurs on a daily basis in that portion of town, just because there's places where tourists come. So I wasn't fully aware of what was occurring. But then a lot of things started happening as far as people were coughing and getting sick. And when I say the word bombing, that's the wrong term. There's really another way to put it. Since I've been running for the honor of being the mayor, I have seen some activity as far as fentanyl being able to be put into a pill or put into other apparatuses. And I don't know if any particular individual has done this. However, it concerned me greatly because that night people were starting to scratch, and I started to scratch, and we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And it could possibly be in another form. It got extremely cold, extremely windy, and people were falling over, and I was falling over, and I couldn't breathe. And so I had on several layers of clothing, and this was in midsummer, and we could not figure out why it was so cold. And I had no choice but to put on a blanket because I was going to the bank. I found a blanket, and I walked with it. It was a very heavy blanket. It was doused in something. And I put it on, and I kind of laid down because I was so cold. I didn't feel like I was going to freeze to death. I think what happens is when fentanyl hits your skin gets colder. And that's why I said what I said in returns of the bombing. I don't know who it was. I don't have any tangible proof. But I do want to say that fentanyl is an issue, and it needs to be addressed with Portland. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
Commissioner Maps?
Mr. Atkins, thank you so much for your testimony today. I am sorry for what happened to you, but I am glad you brought up the topic of fentanyl. I'll tell you, I've been on council for about 4 years, and in my 40, if not 50 years of knowing Portland, I don't think I've seen any intervention in our city have a quicker and deeper negative effect on our city than fentanyl. I also want to point out there's some good news in this space, which I haven't seen commented on. I was just looking at the Multnomah County's fentanyl dashboard, and if you check that out, you'll see that our fentanyl deaths and our fentanyl overdoses and our hospital visits related to fentanyl are down about 40% compared to the same time last year. Frankly, this appears to be part of a larger trend that we're seeing in some regions across the country. I'll put that out there as a ray of hope. Really glad to see this happen. I know this is a product of the cooperation of many law enforcement agencies at the state, local, and federal level. Indeed, probably some international governments too. So while fentanyl, I think, continues to be our largest problem as a city, I do see some hope on the horizon. And I'm awfully glad about that. At the same time, I'm awfully concerned and horrified by the incident that you appear to have lived through.
Thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Next individual, please, item 830.
Request of Angie Toops to address council regarding concrete blocks on road for homeless camps. Angie?
Okay, next individual, please, item 831.
Request of James Lee to address council regarding our musical future.
Welcome, Mr. Lee. You'll have 3 minutes when you're ready.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm James Bernard Lee. I reside in Southeast Portland and speak only for myself. Thank you for hearing me today. June 1969 found me steaming inside the Great Barrier Reef aboard the great white ship, Arcadia. A charming and intelligent young lady of Norway asked what I had been doing in Australia. Studying the concert hall problem, I replied. I have formulated it correctly, but have no idea how to actually solve it. Arcadia wound a tortuous way among lagoons and atolls. You should keep working. The solution will come when you least expect it, she advised. Less than a year later, when I was working for a consultant in Seattle, that is exactly what happened. I recount this to emphasize that we all need a nudge at times. The solution lies disguised within these 4 books. I only assembled the pieces of the puzzle into a coherent picture of the physics of sound as waves in concert halls. 54 years on, it remains the only such theory. I could die riding the elevator down from this meeting, but still concert halls forever will be built according to the correct laws of physics. It would be prudent for council to listen to an expert on acoustics of concert halls and opera houses prior to spending nearly $500 million of public money on buildings that will last a century or more. It would be imprudent not to. Therefore, I ask council for 30 minutes time at the session scheduled for next Wednesday afternoon. I shall make a brief presentation, then answer questions from council. You will find my knowledge of the subject to be nearly encyclopedic. Do it my way and you will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any questions, colleagues?
I'm curious about the titles of the 4 books.
Okay, the first one is Leo Baranik's Music, Acoustics, and Architecture. It was written in 1962 prior to his designing Philharmonic Hall at Lincoln Center.
Okay.
This contains 54, is the first systematic data on the acoustics of concert halls and opera houses. The next one is by Harry F. Olson. It's called Acoustical Engineering. This contains the physics of how to design stages to reinforce musical instruments, especially in the bass. This is Vibration and Sound by Philip M. Morris, which tells you how to provide scattering bodies in the audience portion of the concert hall. And those two best concert halls in the world, the Musikverein in Vienna and Boston Symphony Hall, both have large historic statues on the wall, and the waves of sound intercept those and scatter. And this one is by Marcus Vitruvius Polio, and it dates from about the year -50. It is the book that really enabled the Renaissance. It's called 10 Books of Architecture. It's notable for, it's beloved by city planners in our present day, but also it contains the only systematic understanding of sound and theater as waves. It starts out there and it does something. These are purely qualitative understandings, models, if you will, of how sound works. And there are two real curveballs in it which anticipate what these two books are about. So thank you, Commissioner Ryan, for your interest.
I appreciate you.
Well, Mr. Lee, I do want to say I appreciate your testimony today and previously on the Keller discussions. You know, we're having to make a decision that's going to have substantial financial impacts and really impact the urban landscape for half of the next century at least. But creating a space that's that will draw people in and that they'll be connected with, and that's a high quality musical event location is essential. And so very much appreciate you calling it to our attention.
I would just like to point out one more thing, that there is no city in the world except possibly Vienna that has a world-class opera house and a world-class concert hall in it. We could have both here if we wanted to, and that would help make the city the center of the musical universe if we could. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
very
attention.
much. Colleagues, our next item is a time certain at 9:45. We're going to take a 2-minute recess and reconvene at 9:45. To and listen to public testimony. I move that council deny the appeal, uphold the decision of the hearing office. Hold on.
Read the item.
Oh, go ahead and read it first, please.
Item 832, consider appeal by Music Portland against the hearings officer's decision to approve with conditions a conditional use and adjustment review for a new concert venue in the Central East Side.
Okay, I'll reiterate, this is a second reading. We've already been presented to and listened to public testimony. I move that the council deny the appeal, uphold the decision of the hearings officer, and adopt the findings. Do I have a second on the motion?
Yes, second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Rebecca, please call the roll on the motion.
Maps,
Aye.
Rubio,
As I shared, I appreciate the testimony we heard from and concern from folks in our local music industry, which were much broader than the decision before us today. I haven't seen or heard anything in the record that suggests to me that the hearings officer erred in their decision. As such, I vote aye.
Ryan?
Yeah, this is a land use decision between Prosper Portland and the developers and builders. Due process has been done. Based on the evidence in the record, I vote to uphold the hearing officer's decision and deny the appeal. I know that we need at the appropriate time, which is soon, to take a look at the railroad running through our central city core and figure out how to make it more friendly for the community members trying to navigate our city. I vote aye.
Gonzalez?
I just want to say I appreciated the abundance of public testimony on this item. It is inspiring to talk about a big project taking off in our city again. I do understand the concerns raised by many, but this issue for our body boils down to the question on land use only. Also want to emphasize when developers play by the rules, we have to support it as a city. Through that lens, I see this project as a lifeline for the Central East Side that will benefit the restaurants, hotels, and other small businesses to our city and bring a lot of visitors to the city of Portland, hopefully. I vote aye on the motion, and I also would like to read into the record Mayor Wheeler's statement. Although I cannot attend the session of City Council due to traveling in Japan after visiting our sister city in Sapporo, I would like to state for the record that I would have again voted yes to deny the appeal and uphold the hearings officer's decision to approve the applicant's conditional use permit. We had a robust conversation last month about the hearing officer's approval criteria and how it was applied in this case, and I appreciate everyone's constructive engagement. Setting aside the quasi-judicial land use issue itself, I also want to state for the record that I am strong support of transformative development projects like this one that drive job growth and investment into our city. Portland's future prosperity requires us to more aggressively pursue and embrace growth, to be open for business, and to let everyone know that we are. Thank you. The motion is adopted. Next time certain item, please, item 833, a proclamation.
Next item is time certain at 10 a.m.
Well, Commissioner Maps? Oh, so
Staff
noted.
is on it.
Yeah, I think we're going to, again, go into recess until 10 o'clock. 33, a proclamation.
Proclaim October 2024 to be Filipino American History Month.
Good morning, and I'm extremely honored and proud to bring this proclamation to Council today. Filipino American History Month commemorates the history of this vibrant community with the first recorded presence of Filipinos in the continental U.S. occurring on October 18, 1587, when Luzones Indios came ashore from the Spanish ship Nuestra Señora de Esperanza and landed on what is now Morro Bay, California. This month is a time to celebrate and honor the tremendous economic, cultural, and historic contributions of Filipinos in the U.S., and also a time to reflect on the tragic history of oppression of indigenous peoples from the Philippines in the U.S. This is especially important at a time when hate crimes towards Asian and Pacific Islander people, including Filipinos, are on the rise in the U.S. So today, through this proclamation, we are proving that love, education, and connection always triumph over ignorance and isolation. And there's no better way to do this than by honoring the experience of our leaders in our community. And we have the distinguished and honored guest list of speakers who will speak to the legacy of this incredible, resilient, joyful, and accomplished community. Now, I will turn it over to our presenters and invite them up. Jamie Lim, Chrismin Inocentes Bell, Fel Preliguera, Christian Anisiete, and Richard Uvienko, and Celia Ferrer. Please join us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner Rubio, Commissioner Gonzalez, Dan Ryan. Thank you very much for having us this morning. We're very proud to be here and to celebrate this 437th year of the Filipinos landing in the United States. My name is Jamie Lim, and I'm a publisher of the Asian Reporter newspaper. And I'm simply here. I brought some of the younger folks in our group in the Filipino community to speak for us. It's time for the younger folks to step up. So, without further ado, I'd like to ask Phil to start.
Okay. Got a light. Am I on?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, City Commissioners, City Administrators, City Attorneys, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fel Preliguera. I'm the President of the Filipino American National Historical Society, Oregon, and Southwest Washington chapter. October 2024 is the 437th anniversary of the earliest documented proof of Filipino resident presence on the shores of the west coast of the continental United States. They were the first wave of Filipinos that came on board the Spanish galleon ship Nuestra Señora de Esperanza under the command of the Spanish captain Pedro de Unamuno. The galleon ship anchored at Morro Bay, California on October 18, 1587. The Filipino seamen of the galleon ship were called Luzones Indios because of the harsh treatment from the Spanish authorities. They jumped ship to establish new lives in California and nearby communities. The month of October was chosen as the Filipino American History Month because of this historical event. The city, in a state proclamation of the Filipino American History Month of October, is a manifestation of the Filipino Americans' contributions to the fields of education, business, government service, agriculture, ministry, medicine, and other sciences, humanities, in the United States military. This anniversary is a significant time to study the advancement of the Filipino Americans, a time for celebration, remembrance, reflection, and motivation, and a relevant time for all of our citizens to learn, appreciate more about Filipino Americans and their historic contributions to our city, state, and nation. The Filipino Americans National Historical Society's mission is to promote understanding, education, enlightenment, appreciation, and enrichment through the identification, gathering, preservation, and dissemination of the history and culture of the Filipino Americans in the United States. In the words of our founder, Dr. Fred Cordova, the Filipino Americans has much rich history, enlightening, inspirational, and at times sad. In 4 centuries in America has made the Filipino American experience to be unique and instinctive odyssey, deserving to be shared with all Americans and others of goodwill. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored as the president of the Filipino American National Historical Society for the city's proclamation of the Filipino American History Month, October 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Crispin Inocentes Bell, and I am the Executive Director of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Oregon. And it's really, truly an honor to stand before you today as we mark Filipino American History Month. So on this momentous occasion, I'm here to acknowledge the power and leadership of Filipino Americans and what we bring to the communities that we live in and that we serve. So at the heart of Filipino culture is bayanihan, and I know you've heard this before. It is the spirit of coming together for a collective purpose. And traditionally, it means lifting up and moving your neighbor's house to a new place. What I love about it is that it symbolizes how we unite to empower one another. This is the spirit that drives the work of PACO. As we support Filipino and other underrepresented entrepreneurs, foster economic development, and create opportunities for leadership and growth, our work is about ensuring that our communities are not just resilient, but powerful, with a say in shaping the economic and social future of Oregon. And as Filipinos, we've come a long way in our journey, pushing boundaries and leading movements for change in this country. Leaders like Larry Leong shaped the farm workers' rights movement, and Filipino doctors and nurses have been essential in healthcare advocacy, especially during and coming out of the pandemic. And here in Oregon, Mr. Jamie Lim has elevated the voices of Filipinos, building platforms for advocacy and for power. And today I stand in my power alongside you, alongside all of you, ready to continue this legacy and this journey together. As a Filipino American and the proud daughter of a U.S. Navy serviceman and a factory worker, I have always been inspired by our community's ability to find deep strength, to sacrifice, and to survive, and build together so that we can experience joy. PACO's work continues that mission by creating access and opportunities for us to thrive, both as individuals and as a community. And so I want to invite us to stand together in our power to grow it, to amplify it, not just for ourselves, but for the generations to come, because I know together we are unstoppable.
I guess that leaves it to me. Yes, wow, I should have printed a speech. That was amazing. To our esteemed commissioners, our city administrator, our city attorney, all the community leaders who I'm so happy to see behind me. Good morning. I'm Celia Ferrer. My pronouns are she, her, sha. Sha is a gender-neutral pronoun from the Philippines, where I'm from, where I grew up. I'm a first-generation American, and it's so great to hear the speeches. I'm gonna go rogue this morning. I'm just gonna speak from the heart, and where I'm from is that I'm so grateful for the city of Portland to honor Filipino American Month in recognition of the many members of our community that hold that identity. I think it's important to highlight our differences and the diversity that we offer in order to build a community that truly is sustainable and thriving and that serves all of us, many of us. I think I come here really with the message that my journey here, was that of love. I came here because, I met somebody who is from here, and I had to leave a career that I loved to be in a new place, and that comes with it an immigrant story. I identify as a single mother, as a first generation American, an immigrant, and that comes with a whole lot of beauty and challenges. And as I look back on the history that Phil had shared, while it's true that we hold value with certain identities in our community that offer productivity, we always highlight the doctors, the caregivers, the nurses. Truly, the value is by existing. It is offering something that is different and unique and being able to celebrate that diversity in the hopes of creating a more equitable community for all of us. In my work at the Oregon Food Bank, I'm an associate director for Oregon Food Bank. I'm also a board member for Filipino Americans for Good Governance. In my work, equity is so important because we highlight typically marginalized members of our community. And for Oregon Food Bank, our equity constituencies include single mothers and caregivers, immigrants and refugees, transgender nonconforming folks, and also the last one would be BIPOC folks. And it's important to highlight how all of these identities offer value just by existing and also by knowing the struggles that come with their identities in order to bring solutions that could hopefully make a community thrive. So I come here with so much gratefulness in my heart for honoring the Filipino American identity, hoping that we could co-create and build a stronger community together.
Thank you.
Magandang umaga po, elected officials, staff, and fellow community members. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you for your time. My name is Christian Anichetti. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a communications coordinator for Washington County. And I'm also the president of API Forward, which is a local nonprofit focused on Asian Pacific Islander leadership. When I left the Philippines back in 1997 as a child, I didn't just leave a place. I left behind loved ones and a way of life that shaped me. Coming to America, I struggled to find my place, but I've learned that no matter where we are or where we go, our roots run deep. They ground us, shape us, and remind us of who we are. As Philippine national hero Dr. Jose Rizal once said, "Ang hindi marunong lumingon sa pinangalingan ay hindi makakarating sa paroroonan." He who does not know how to look back at where he came from will never get to his destination. His words remind me that our past doesn't hold us back. It pushes us forward. Today, Filipino Americans are one of the fastest growing Asian Pacific Islander groups in the US. In fact, in Oregon, over 47,000 Filipinos call the state home. In Portland, we don't just belong, we help build it, shape it, and bring it to life. This Filipino American History Month, we pay tribute to the many contributions Filipinos make to this city, this state, and this country that we love. Our presence is felt not just in healthcare, in education, business, government, the arts, or culinary, but in our very values: family, hard work, creativity, resilience, and that Bayanihan spirit of community. This November, I'll have the privilege to return to the Philippines for a leadership immersion program to reconnect with my roots. As I prepare for this journey, I reflect on how far I've come. From a young immigrant searching for belonging to standing here today as a leader in my community. More importantly, I'm reminded that none of us walk this path alone. We're driven by the sacrifices and dreams of those who came before us, just like the very first Filipinos to arrive in the continental United States at what is now Morro Bay, California, back in 1587. And it is through honoring this past that we find the strength to keep moving forward. We are the bridge between two worlds, and by looking back to where we came from, we can build a brighter future, one where our values, our voices, and contributions continue to make a lasting impact. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, City Administrator, and City Attorney. Thank you very much for having us today. We really are very appreciative of the proclamation. Now, I am Richard Gibienko with Wells Fargo Bank and the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Oregon. And many of you know, or who know me, know that I wear two pins on my jacket at all times. One of the Philippine and United States flag conjoined together, the other pin a Wells Fargo stagecoach. These two symbols are not only pinned to the fabric of my jacket, but are also strewn into my identity as a Filipino-American immigrant. As a Filipino-American immigrant, I am very proud of my upbringing in Mandaluyong, Manila. Typical of a normal Filipino household, I grew up in a multi-generational household filled with respect for the church, for community, and for family. This is oftentimes recognized as the Bayanihan spirit. In times of adversity, natural calamities, and acts of God, Bayanihan becomes a distinct Filipino culture of helping one another, most especially in times of need, without expecting anything in return. Bayanihan drives my commitment to service and helping others in need. That is why I'm proud to be working in my role as a commercial banking relationship manager for Wells Fargo. My identity history begins in 1849, when prospectors known as the 49ers were among the first to rush for gold in California, and they were soon joined by gold seekers from around the globe. Thousands of people from Europe, Asia, Oceania, and Central and South America flocked to California for gold in the 1850s. They needed a company that could safely send their gold, money, and mail back home, and they counted on Wells Fargo for those services. In 1852, the year of its founding, Wells Fargo and Company opened its first international office in Panama to safely transport tons of gold from California across the Isthmus of Panama. Business expanded in Asia in 1867 when mail steamships began regular service across the Pacific. And in September 1901, very proud of this, Wells Fargo was the first U.S. Express company to open an office in Manila, Philippines, facilitating trade, strategically positioning the bank to help its customers grow their business in the Asia-Pacific region. Today, Wells Fargo employs nearly 12,000 Pinoys at our Manila campus, which has been recognized as a best-in-class infrastructure with 1.3 million square feet of space and an ecosystem comprising of office, fitness center, and cafeteria. Our Philippine operations form the core of Wells Fargo's global delivery strategy, providing technology and analytics capabilities, supporting most of the lines of business across the enterprise, and enabling the bank to leverage distinct advantages of doing business in a global environment. At Wells Fargo, we are focused on uplifting Filipino voices, not only in October during Filipino American History Month, but always. There is no better way to celebrate the significant historical and cultural contributions of the Filipino community than by creating a supportive and inclusive environment where everyone has a voice. I'm proud to say that I am one of many Filipino American employees afforded the time and capacity to serve my community in the aforementioned Bayanihan spirit. and I do so proudly as active board member of the Philippine American Chamber of Commerce of Oregon. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nikki De Leon. I helped found the Filipino Bayanihan Center in 2021. And amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, it's a Filipino migrant resource center in Southeast Portland. And I came to the United States to Portland with my sister, and I went to the 5th grade in the David Douglas School District. And at that time, I would observe my classmates and how they greet each other. And they would often say, "What's up? Hey, what's up?" And having only learned the literal meaning of English words, I would literally look up to see what is up. And then later on, I would realize that what's up is an inquiry to what is going on with you. And so today I'd like to one, give thanks to the celebration of Filipino American History Month, but to also share what is up in the Filipino migrant community here in Oregon. This is a time not only to reflect on our community's rich history, but also to amplify our collective voices in the continued struggle that Filipino migrants often have for equity and justice in this city. The story of Filipino Americans is one of resilience, unity building, and collective organizing. We definitely honor the legacy of Filipino labor leaders like Carlos Bulusan, who spoke out against the exploitation of Filipino workers, Filipino farmers, and highlighted the harsh realities of inequality. His words remind us that our struggle for dignity and justice is not only a chapter in our history, but an ongoing mission that a lot of us here in the community are aiming to continue. The Filipino American history is filled with victories that we are definitely proud of, that we often want to share, but at the same time, it is also filled with stories of struggle. And at the Filipino Bayanihan Center, we serve over 5,000 Filipino migrants and Filipino Americans annually that contribute to society, some often even working 2 jobs, but still struggle with housing and food insecurity. And here in Portland and across the nation, we are not simply asking for a seat at tables where decisions are made, but we are also working together so that our voices may be heard um, in the city hall, in the streets, in workplaces, in schools, and any spaces where decisions are made. Too often, Filipinos and other marginalized communities are present but not heard. And so today, I would like to thank the City of Portland for providing us this space to be heard and to share the stories of our community. It helps us ensure that our voices are not just included but amplified, especially where our community has historically been silenced. And so, as we celebrate this month, let us recognize that this proclamation is just the beginning, and we are committed to continue creating these spaces with you all, and we ask that you also continue to commit to create these spaces for us as we invite you to join us in our Bayanihan spirit and join us in our collective action to ensure that the Filipino community does not stay at the margins, and that we have in our history not just the stories of existing in society here in the United States, but also the story of Filipinos thriving alongside you. Thank you.
Does that conclude our presentation? Just want to make sure no one else is.
Yes.
Looks like we've got got one more. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Dolly Specht, and I am the Oregon president of the National Federation of Filipino American Associations and board chair for Filipino American Chambers of Commerce Foundation. So I've served my time on a lot of the local organizations, and I now serve on a national level. But I'm here, thank you so much. This is the nth year that I've come here for you to recognize our History Month. And I'm sure you've been told that for us, there's a difference between history and heritage. So I'm going to keep it short. I just want to give each of you a copy because you're a new term of people and I don't know if you have. This is Filipinos in the Willamette Valley, which I co-wrote. And it is a historical account of the migration of Filipinos into the state of Oregon.
Thank you.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Any,
That should do it.
Any other, that concludes presentations? Yes. Colleagues, I'll turn it over first to Commissioner Mapps.
Thank you. Let me start out by thanking our guests for today's presentation. We appreciate you being here and we appreciate you sharing your stories. And colleagues, I also want to say this. I'm proud to join you in proclaiming October 2024 to be Filipino American History Month here in Portland, Oregon. Today, we celebrate the rich legacy of Filipino Americans who have shaped our nation, state, and city. Filipino American History Month is observed in October, as we've learned today, to commemorate the arrival of the first Filipinos in North America on October 18th, 1587 in Morro Bay, California. This moment marks the beginning of a long, complex, and interconnected history between the Philippines and the United States. Here in Oregon, the first significant wave of Filipino immigrants arrived in the early 1900s. Many came as farm workers, while others were students at institutions like the University of Oregon and Oregon State University. Today, over 42,000 Filipino Americans live in the Portland metropolitan area. Their contributions can be seen across every sector, from business to medicine, from education to government service. And the values of education, resilience, and community are central to the Filipino American experience. And these values continue to inspire and enrich our city. So, colleagues, as we reflect on this history, I encourage all Portlanders to take time this month to learn about and celebrate the contributions of Filipino Americans. Their stories are a vital part of Portland's identity, and their legacy continues to shape the city we love. Thank you so much.
Do you have comments, Commissioner Ryan? Commissioner Ryan?
Sure. First of all, thank you all so much. That presentation was so good. We often have these proclamations, but I don't think I've experienced one of late that was so in depth. You covered a lot of ground, from culture, heritage, business, media, platforms, by your elder leader, Mr. Lim. And it was just such a compelling presentation, so thank you. One thing that I really stuck out for me as an adult learner is I never really marveled at the year 1587. And I think too often when we welcome groups and we think, and many of you are new arrivals, of course you covered that, but you're not new arrivals. You've been here much longer than most of us as far as your heritage and your culture. So I think it's always humbling for us to just take that in and soak it in. So I appreciate that you repeated that several times. On a personal level, I can't help thinking about my Filipino sister-in-law. One of the best things my brother, Philip Kevin, did was marry her 50 years ago. And our family gatherings instantly improved. There was warmth, and I'll just say it, the food went way up. And we always want the gatherings to be at her house, actually, because of that. So, right, food is the great bridge builder of all between cultures. And so now I just got hungry. I just wanted to again say thank you. I think 47,000 Filipino Americans that live in Portland should be lifted and seen. And I think that was one of the words used today. So just know you are heard and seen. And it was really good for us to take a moment and be with you and listen to all that you had to offer today. Thanks.
Before I turn over to Commissioner Rubio, I just want to say how proud I am to join in proclaiming October 2024 to be Filipino American History Month. And I'd like to thank the presenters once again for highlighting the amazing contributions, the amazing community that Filipino Americans are making here in Portland. I'm delighted to hear about all the achievements, the community, and yes, the food, but also to hear about the complex relationship the Filipino community has in our country. Simultaneously, new immigrants and deep, deep roots, all at the same time. And that's often not highlighted for so many of our communities that have that duality. It's clear that the 47,000 Filipino Americans here in Oregon are truly a strong community that support each other through shared values, and that's a beautiful thing to see for each of us and every Portlander. Thank you for being here today. Commissioner Rubio, it's my pleasure to turn it over to you to read this proclamation.
Thank you, Council President. And thank you so much to all of our esteemed presenters for joining us this morning and for your strong and insightful words. You inspire all of us and also future generations to proudly embrace their powerful histories and their cultures and identities. The political and economic and cultural influence of the Filipino community cannot be understated in our community, and it has shaped every single corner of our state and has made our community and our country stronger. So now it'll be my honor to read the proclamation on behalf of Mayor Wheeler. Whereas October 2024 is the 437th anniversary of the earliest documented proof of Filipino presence on the shores of the west coast of the continental United States, and whereas the citizens of Oregon should be informed of the positive impact Filipino Americans have had on our communities, and whereas in Oregon, thousands of Filipino Americans have made contributions to the field of teaching, business, government service, agriculture, ministry, medicine, and other sciences, humanities, and the United States Armed Forces. And whereas it is imperative for Filipino American youth to have positive role models and instill in them the importance of education complemented with the richness of their ethnicity and values of their legacy. And whereas efforts must continue to promote the study of Filipino American history and culture, because the role of Filipino Americans and those of other people who have been overlooked in the writing, teaching, and learning of the United States history. And whereas the anniversary is a significant time to study the advancement of Filipino Americans, a time of celebration, remembrance, reflection, and motivation, and a relevant time for all of our citizens to learn and appreciate more about Filipino Americans and their historic contributions to our nation and to Oregon. Now, therefore, I, Ted Wheeler, Mayor of the City of Portland, Oregon, the City of Roses, do hereby proclaim October 2024 to be Filipino American History Month in Portland, and encourage all citizens to join in recognition of the positive impact Filipino Americans have had on our community. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Richard, for making banking so compelling and interesting.
Yes, great story.
Thank you.
Is it possible to have a photo op?
We can do one
Please.
again. We'll take a 1-minute recess here.
second. Make sure I get the right item here. Thank you.
If you don't mind introducing yourselves.
Yes, sir, will do. Jonas Beery, the Deputy City Administrator of Budget and Finance and the city's Chief Financial Officer. Council, this legislation is the formal action to authorize the long-term bonds that have been included in the fiscal year 24-25 adopted budget for the city's sewer utility. This ordinance will enable Budget and Finance and the Bureau of Environmental Services to coordinate the issuance of revenue bonds to fund sewer and stormwater infrastructure improvements. The bonds will be secured by and paid from revenues generated by the sewer stormwater system. The borrowing also allows for the refinancing of outstanding sewer revenue bonds for interest savings and reduced future payments. The city's debt manager and BES finance staff are here to walk through the details. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, DCA and CFO Beery. For the record, I'm Matt Gierach, debt manager in the Budget and Finance Service area. As mentioned, this ordinance will provide the authority to issue sewer revenue bonds in an amount not to exceed $334 million for financing of capital projects and costs of issuing the bonds. The projects to be financed have been included in the council-approved BES capital improvement plan. This is a planned borrowing that, in addition to being included in the fiscal year 24-25 adopted budget, has also been included in the BES financial plan, previously communicated to City Council, the city's credit rating agencies, and investors. The bonds are expected to be issued with a 30-year term, consistent with other municipal utilities around the country. For the issuance, total sewer system debt will be approximately $1.8 billion, which is roughly 4 times fiscal year 24 charges for service. This debt to revenue ratio is within the range of highly rated municipal utilities and the stronger end of the AA rating category. And for reference, the sewer system's second lien bonds are rated AA2 and AA by Moody's Ratings and S&P Global Ratings, respectively. This ordinance also allows for the city to refinance any outstanding bonds for savings. The Series 2014 bonds are outstanding in the amount of $147 million with an interest rate of around 4%. Based on recent market conditions, the city could refinance these bonds at an interest rate of a little over 3% and produce savings of around $9 million. The actual savings results will depend on interest rates at the time of the bond sale. The bonds are expected to be sold in a into the public bond market in early December via a negotiated bond sale. Over the next several weeks, the financing team will draft an official statement of the city to market the securities and then subsequently sell the bonds. I will now hand it over to Public Works DCA Don Appel for any additional comments.
Thank you, DC Beery and Matt, for the financing overview. I would like to add that the bonds will provide for a portion of the capital investments within the capital improvement plan over the next 2 years and ensure the city's utility remains in regulatory compliance with federal and state regulations. And perhaps more importantly, with the issuance of the bonds, BES can successfully continue its mission of protecting public health and restoring and protecting Portland's rivers, streams, and watersheds. The capital investments to be funded include both large projects such as the secondary treatment enhancement program, the STEP at the Columbia Boulevard wastewater treatment plant, as well as regular smaller capital investments such as replacing portions of the sewer systems, 1,900 miles of sanitary pipes, and 450 miles of stormwater pipes. As you are well aware, the continual reinvestment in our infrastructure is a key component of asset management, and a proactive approach is less expensive for ratepayers over the long run. We look forward to collaborating with the budget and debt finance team over the coming months to successfully fund these critical projects and hopefully refinance some of the sewer revenue bonds for savings. And that is the end of our presentations, and we're here to answer any questions.
Colleagues, any questions before we check on public testimony? Seeing none, do we have any public testimony?
There's none.
Okay. Rebecca, please call the roll on the ordinance. Or do we? Oh, is this first reading?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll submit it over to second. Sorry, my notes are off here. I think our final items of the day are being presented together, so let's hear items 834, 836, and 837.
Item 834, authorize interim financing of up to $14,450,000 for the Northwest Johnson Kearney Streets Local Improvement District projects. Item 836, declare intent to initiate formation proceedings to construct street, sidewalk, stormwater, sanitary sewer, and water main improvements in the Northwest Park Ave Local Improvement District in conjunction with the segregation of pending local improvement district liens. Item 837, amend the Northwest Park Ave and Johnson Kearney Street Local Improvement District to construct only Northwest Johnson Street and Northwest Kearney Street, and to construct Northwest Park Ave in a separate and newly formed Northwest Park Ave Local Improvement District in conjunction with the segregation of pending local improvement district liens.
Welcome.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Council. For the record, I'm Priyadhanapal, DCA for Public Works. And before you today are 3 separate items, all involving the former post office blocks, what we now reference as the Broadway corridor. So item number 837 amends the local improvement district as a prerequisite to beginning construction of the project. We are pleased to be at 100% design for the first phase of construction. And North Park Avenue, Northwest Johnson Street, and Northwest Kearney Street are currently combined into a single LID. This ordinance will bifurcate the LID so that the Northwest Johnson Street and Northwest Kearney Street are built in the first phase under its own LID. Item number 836 will initiate the creation of a new LID for Northwest Park Avenue in a second construction phase. While these actions are largely administrative in nature and do not materially change financial commitments previously authorized by this council, I do want to acknowledge the importance of LID financing for the Broadway corridor. I also want to highlight that the Portland Housing Bureau recently selected Home Forward to develop what we anticipate will be the first building in the new neighborhood. The project will deliver 230 units of affordable housing and leverage $60 million in Metro Bond, tax incremental financing, and operational support. The development of streets and utility infrastructure that will be funded by the LID financing helps unlock all of this development potential. And finally, item number 834 authorizes financing up to $14.45 million for construction of the first LID. I will now turn it over to DCA Burey for quick introductory comments on the financing element of this package.
Great, thank you, DCA Dhanapal. For the record, Deputy City Administrator of Budget and Finance, Jonas Beery, also the city's Chief Financial Officer. I'd like to just recognize that the ordinance package is the outcome of strong collaboration by the planning, project management, and finance staff at multiple city bureaus and at Prosper Portland. The financing team has worked diligently to identify a feasible funding plan and to subsequently secure the resources that will continue this redevelopment moving forward. Also pleased to acknowledge that Prosper Portland was able to secure an additional $6 million in state infrastructure funding to support the infrastructure construction, allowing the project to absorb anticipated cost increases over the first 2 phases of construction. The final piece of the funding strategy for the street and utility improvements is the Local Improvement District Interim Financing Authorization, item 834 today, which will also be discussed in the presentation, and I'll now turn it over to staff to walk through the items.
Thank you. Andrew Abbey, Local Improvement District Administrator. Appreciate the introduction by our Deputy City Administrators. We have our debt manager with us, and we also have Sarah Harpole from Prosper Portland, and Brian Poole, who is the project manager for the LID. I'm going to endeavor to be brief this morning. I ran 7 minutes over last week, so I'm going to try to give you 7 minutes back of your time. Let me start off by just saying that it is not unusual to amend local improvement districts. We've done it many times before. But let me tell you what this package doesn't do. It doesn't change the center line feet of street improvements that we have planned for the Broadway corridor. It does not increase the overall amount of the LID. And it also does not change the project timeline, nor does it change the timeline for final assessment of the LID. So as was introduced by your deputy city administrators, this is really a housekeeping and technical adjustment measure. So right now where we're at is we've completed a big design milestone and we're ready to head into the first phase of construction. And within the umbrella of LID code, it is best practice to have all of these technical adjustments made before we issue the notice to proceed to the eventual contractor. Since the LID was formed, we've had a marked change in our interest rate environment. And the bifurcation of the local improvement district is necessary because whereas we normally use the LID fund for all LIDs, we are going to have two separate LIDs. The Johnson Kearney LID uses a separate interim credit facility and the Park Avenue LID using the LID fund. We're also incorporating the additional funding that DCA Donna Paul just mentioned, and we're also incorporating utility undergrounding into the scope of the LID. It doesn't make sense to build all these new streets and not put in the utility undergrounding and then have all the streets ripped up a short time later to put in the new PGE assets. So that is incorporated into the LID as amended. And then finally, and arguably equally as important, I recently completed a major LID about 18 blocks away to the west, Labtown neighborhood of Northwest Portland. It was a very successful LID. It was similar to this one in the regard that we had one property owner when we started the LID, and then the property started selling off to different property owners as the neighborhood got developed. So when we formed this particular LID, we just had two property owners in the LID. What has happened since the LID formation is that the area has been replatted. And so one of my lessons learned from the successful LID to the west is to provide certainty to future development. So right now, if you look at the pending lien amounts, as high as $10.6 million for a single property. With this bifurcation, it'll be as low as $700,000 for a single property. So the other big benefit of bifurcating the LID is as new development moves in, there's a lot more certainty in terms of the amounts reflected on the pending liens. So I think with that, we can go ahead and advance to the first slide in our presentation. So I think this has been recapped pretty well. Think I need to run through it again. Our debt manager will address item number 3 here, the $14 million in interim financing in a moment. If we can just go to the next slide. This slide shows the existing Park Avenue Johnson Kearney LID that would be amended to only build Johnson and Kearney. If you look at those shaded pink areas on the map, you can see that it includes Johnson Street and Kearney Street. It no longer includes Park Avenue street improvements. It does have a little area of shading where we do some utility undergrounding along Northwest 9th Avenue. And then if you go to the next slide, so following that last slide, which is the first phase of construction, then we have the new Northwest Park Avenue LID. You can see the only street segment shaded there in pink is Park Avenue. That's the second phase of construction that comes later. So that's a recap of the bifurcation of the LID. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on the mechanics of the LID. If not, I'm happy to turn it over to our debt manager before I come back for some final comments on the LID.
I'm going to have a follow-up question in conclusion, but just to be crystal clear, 836 is a resolution, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Whereas 834 and 837 are ordinances.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to clarify that for my colleagues. Any questions at this point, or okay, let's head on to the next. Go ahead, Commissioner Wright.
Yeah. Hello. Good to have you here. I just have a couple of questions. Every time we do these LIDs, I just want to be crystal clear about the financing. And I think I was tracking what you said. The rationale and doing this work now made complete sense. Then you explained what you learned from the development west of this site. And if I was following you right, it's that it started off with just the developer, and then there's more people now involved, more entities involved. So could you explain that further? So are they being invoiced now as a part of the LIDs?
No, we're
I didn't think
nowhere,
that's what you
nowhere
meant.
near the final. Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. Great question. No, we're nowhere near the invoicing phase right now. We have to build everything before we do that. And I want to be careful of drawing too many parallels because Broadway Corridor is definitely a different development scenario than Flabtown to the west. I guess to put a final point on it, and this is really boring, but these are kind of the technical details that we had to work through with Flabtown is there was changes in property ownership. We haven't had that occur yet in Broadway Corridor, but as I mentioned, we had the replatting, and I just spent a lot of time. It was very collaborative, but I just spent a lot of time talking to attorneys of developers. And what would happen is they would run the title report on the property, and they would say, "Oh, we're seeing the $11 million LID lien here. Are we really in it for $11 million?" Then what I'd say is, "No, you just have one block of multiple blocks." And it was kind of like being in a position of, trust me, I'm from the government. It's not really going to cost you $11 million, but the pending lien record says $11 million, right? So there's kind of all this back and forth about what the real number will be. So what this package does is that directs the lien section to reduce the existing pending lien amounts and then create new pending liens so that as prospective purchasers, be it the Housing Bureau or anybody else, they will just simply have new pending liens that are much more accurate than these very large numbers that are in place prior to the replatting of the tax lots. So it really just relates to the prospective disclosure of what the future LID obligation will be.
I needed to hear all that. I trust you. That was helpful though, and I needed you to go into the weeds a bit. Thanks.
Okay, next slide, please. So for the record, again, I'm Matt Gierach, debt manager. The resources available for this LID construction for Johnson Kearney consists of a mix of cash and financing. And the financing being authorized as interim financing for construction, and it'll be taking form as a line of credit provided by a bank. The amount of the financing is $14.45 million only for the Northwest Johnson and Kearney LID, and it does not include Phase 2 Park Avenue LID. After council's approval, the budget and finance team will competitively solicit proposals from banks to attain the lowest cost of funds for the project. And we anticipate that loan closing in December to provide adequate time for the construction funding needs. The term of the financing will be 5 years, but it will be periodically renewed and refinanced in order to meet the January 2033 final assessment timeline. Prior to final assessment, the interest costs of the interim financing will be paid by Prosper Portland from available funds, as well as a portion of PBOT TSDCs that have already been committed to the project. After final assessment, the city will issue long-term bonds for any unpaid assessments that will be financed by property owners. And the portion of payments from Prosper Portland is expected to be paid from land sale proceeds and other available resources. And then finally, I'll note that the interim financing and those long-term bonds that we'll ultimately issue will be secured by the city's full faith and credit in order to provide the most cost-effective financing terms from investors and lenders. And I'll turn it back over to Andrew.
Thank you, Matthew. So on a final note, I just wanted to note that we are amending an existing LID that was formed in 2020. There is a section 17.080 of city code. Those provisions were followed. We did a mail notice on September 11th to the two property owners in the LID. We did a posting and a publication notice on September 18th. The deadline to file remonstrances was at 5 p.m. on September 25th. We did not receive any remonstrances against the amendment to the existing LID. The request of council this morning is to approve agenda item number 836. That is the resolution that is before us. So the request of council is to approve agenda item number 836. And since this is a package, items 834 and 837 would be moved to a second reading on November 20th, at which time as LID administrator, I would bring back an LID formation ordinance for Northwest Park Avenue. So that concludes my portion of the presentation this morning. I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
So just to clarify, so it is your intent and desire to vote on 836 today, or would you like to carry that over in conjunction with 834 and 837?
We should vote on 836 today because I can't bring an ordinance back on November 20th without the approval of that resolution this morning.
Okay, got it. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Commissioner Ryan?
Thanks, Andrew. As you know, I'm always curious about LIDs. When I came onto council, I had no idea that this was such a consistent revenue stream to do infrastructure building. And, just when you understand TIF and you understand that also Portlanders are at their wits' end with how much it costs to live here and to do business here. So I just have to always ask these questions so I understand who will eventually be invoiced. So I think that's what I was trying to get at. I know that we're putting some low-income housing there. I assume we're also doing some market rate housing eventually in the area. So in the future, will say a condo owner be getting the invoice for this LID? Or is that me running wild with the little bit of information I have here?
That is a great question, Commissioner Ryan. I think I should yield my chair to Sarah Harpole and bring her forward from Prosper Portland because she is uniquely qualified to answer that question.
Thanks, Andrew. Hi, welcome to the hot seat.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Harpole. I'm Senior Project Manager at Prosper Portland. The LID liens will carry with individual parcels. So as Andrew mentioned, we have moved from the 2 original tax lots that created the post office site to almost 11 different development parcels. And the LID liens or debt will carry with each of those individual parcels moving forward. So whether that is an affordable housing developer or a for-profit market rate developer, they will carry that expense as part of their construction costs moving forward.
Okay, so it will be passed forward. Okay, and you could assume that they'd pass that on to those that would purchase the units.
It would be carried as part of their capital costs rather than an operating expense over time, I believe.
Okay. And this is part of the first reading, the discussion we're having right now.
This is part of the first reading for agenda items 834 and 837.
I get that we put them all together. I was a little bit thrown off.
It was a
by
very
the fact that-
complicated package to put together.
Made sense that you put it together.
Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Do we have any public testimony on these items?
There's none.
There's none?
None.
Okay.
Mr. President, if I may, just a clarification, I think the vote will be on 836. 837 will come back in November. We had request that 834 come back next week, that the financing ordinance come back next week for second reading so we can start putting that process in motion.
So I'm simply going to move to second reading for both 834 and 837, or do we need to be specific on the time certain?
You should be clarifying when you expect those 2 items to come back before you vote on the resolution.
I might need you to restate the verbiage exactly how we'll do that, just to make sure I get that right.
I can do that. 834 is coming back for second reading next week. 837 is coming back for second reading on November 20th. And doesn't need to be a time certain, Andrew?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Item 834 and 837 are moving to second reading. 834 coming back next week. 837 is coming back on November 20th. Please call the roll on item 836, a resolution.
Maps.
Aye.
Rubio.
Thank you to all the DCAs and bureaus and community partners who have come together to get us to this step. Happy to vote aye.
Ryan.
Yeah, I don't want to get in the way of progress. I vote aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye. Resolution passes. It is adopted. Does that conclude items on today's agenda? Thank you all. We are adjourned. Last one was a mouthful.